Hey there and welcome. My name is Mr. Barry. In this whole video, I'm going to be looking at the top 10 Android emulators that can run on your Windows 10 PC, your Macintosh, or even in your Linux machine. There's even one that runs within your Chrome browser. One thing I would like to mention is that starting in 2021, Microsoft has announced that their updated Windows 10 version will allow users to run Android apps directly from within the Windows 10 environment. This could mean big changes for the Android emulator market. So let's check it out, you and I. Come on. Now, there are many reasons why you may want to run an Android emulator on your PC. One is if you are an app developer and you wish to test your application before shipping it out. And next is gamers. Now, gamers may want to use a mouse or keyboard right within their Android games, or maybe they just want to have access to check their game out on their PC. Whatever your reasons, Android emulation on your PC is possible, and it's a great deal easier today than it used to be. Unfortunately, some old favorites either left the space or have become unusable. I'm talking about Andy Android, MEmu OS, and LeapDroid. But everything else here should work okay for most people. So here are the 10 best Android emulators for your PC or your Mac. And there's even one that run on your Chrome browser. So I have a list here, but it's not in the exact order as I'm going to give at the conclusion. But number one there is LDplayer. Then we have the Android Studio emulator, ARChon Chrome extension, Bliss OS, Bluestacks, GameLoop, Meemu, GenyMotion, Nox, and Phoenixos. Now, Andy Android used to be towards the top of any of my lists there, but it's been taken out since Andy began using some really bad development tactics, including suspected Bitcoin mining without users' permission. So they're going to be left out of my lists until they fix their problems. Android 4X used to be one of my favorite options, and its later builds are still available. However, it's no longer being updated, so it's been removed from the list. Now, also worth noting are these PrimeOS, Xamarin, YouWave, and LDplayer, which are still very good options as they are currently being updated and do not appear to have any malware. And I have a link to all of these different emulators down in the description for you to choose later. Let's now look at all the best emulators and see which one is best for your particular situation. Need something to play Android games? LDplayer is an Android emulator that focuses on the best game performance. It features good gamer-oriented features, including useful keyboard mapping controls, multi-instance macros, high frames per second, and common graphical hardware support. It runs Android Nougat 7.1 and is one of the few emulators that gets active updates to improve hardware compatibility. It supports a wide range of games including Clash of Clans, Among Us, Garena Free Fire, League of Legends, Wild Rift, and many other favorites. Other apps that work very well within LDplayer are social media apps such as these, and it's free. Next is the Android Studio's emulator. Android Studio is a free default development console from Android. It comes with a good assortment of developers' tools to create apps and games that run specifically on Android. It has a built-in emulator that developers can use to test out their app or game. This is not my first choice if you are a novice to running emulators, as the setup is somewhat more complicated and it can take a long time to install it on your computer. However, if you are a developer, this emulator is almost a must-have because of its tools for testing apps and games. Another good point is that it supports Kotlin for developers who want to use that. So Android Studio's emulator is a good choice for developers, but not so for casual gamers. Next is ARChon. ARChon is not a traditional emulator that you install within your PC. It is a free Google Chrome extension that runs in your browser. For this reason, users who run Cloud Ready OS may find this extension extremely useful because it gives their Chrome the ability to run Android apps and games, albeit with limited support. Unfortunately, it's not easy to get this emulator running, as you'll have to do a custom install into your Chrome browser. The steps include first downloading the APKs onto your computer and then loading them using an APK installer. Some have noted incompatibility issues and needed to change the APK in order to make it run correctly on their computer. Since there are so many more steps to make this emulator work correctly than other Android emulators, I do not recommend this one for novices. On the plus side though, it does work with any operating system that can run the Chrome browser like Windows, Linux, macOS, Cloud Ready, etc. And I have added a link to the official GitHub where you can find detailed instructions for its use. Bliss OS is an Android emulator for PC running the Android Oreo, which is among the newer versions of Android offered on an emulator. Bliss OS works via the virtual machine. However, it is possible to run it alone without any other operating system on your computer through a USB stick. For power users, the boot from USB option is definitely a plus, and novice users might find the boot from USB option less to their liking as it gets a little bit more involved. It can be a VM install on your computer, in which case the process is rather straightforward and easy, but may be tedious if you've never made your own virtual machine before. And as stated earlier, the USB installation method is even more complicated, but it lets your computer actually run Android natively from boot without needing any other operating system. This makes Bliss a unique emulator if you can make it through all the steps to the end. Now, with that being said, it is not compatible with every computer configuration out there, and some users have found this to be a major headache as it crashes even after following all of the steps correctly. For that reason, make sure you have a backup of your current operating system just in case. Bluestacks, which has both free and paid versions, is the most mainstream of all of the Android emulators. It is compatible with both Windows and Mac. It also has been around for a long time and still gets regular updates. Gamers may like this emulator as it includes key mapping and settings for many different games. That being said, the paid version has the most features of any emulator on this list. Bluestacks also made the MSI LDplayer, which is another great emulator, and many believe that it's just as good or even better than vanilla Bluestacks. You can try either one, they're both from Bluestacks. Next we have GameLoop, which is a free emulator focused squarely on the gamer. Its settings are optimized for such games as Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG Mobile, and it features other games aside from Tencent's. The emulator installs with ease and plays games just fine without having to change any of the settings, which is a big plus. Do you do other things besides playing games? Sorry, this emulator will leave you lacking as it is not good for productivity or development testing. So if you're looking for an easy to install emulator to play your Android games, GameLoop has you covered with fast mobile frames per second gaming, along with some fun and newer titles. And it boosts good keyboard controls as well. Meemu is another Android emulator that does very well with gamers. One of the biggest features is that it supports both AMD and Intel chipsets. Now, I'm not saying that Meemu is the only emulator that works with AMD, but its developers have optimized it to run games on the AMD platform. Like GameLoop and Bluestacks, most gamers would be happy with this emulator. Something that is unique is that it supports Android Jelly Bean, KitKat, and Lollipop. Plus, it can run multiple instances at once for multiple games or testing developmental features. So not only does this emulator suit most gamers' needs, it can also satisfy developers' needs as well with its collection of productivity tools. I have a link to the newest version down in the description that has added smart key mapping and game performance improvements as well. Geniemotion has both free and paid versions. Its focus is mostly on developers, as it allows you to test your apps on a variety of devices without actually having to own them. You can configure the emulator for a variety of devices with various versions of Android to help suit your testing needs. You can also easily switch between these virtual devices with just a few taps, which can save the developer a lot of time. So would the gamer like this one? No. In fact, most consumer users would not need most of the features that this emulator offers. One caveat is that Geniemotion does offer their services for free for personal use. One of its most useful features is its ability to work with both your desktop computer and the cloud. This means that those that lack a powerful computer can make Geniemotion servers do all the work for them. Now we come to Nox, which many of my students have used to play Android games. Nox is free, yet includes a good key mapping with your keyboard, multiple game controller support, and even the ability to key map gesture controls. It's easy to install from the download, and once you have it on your desktop, you can start playing games without having to change any of the settings. So if you need an emulator to play a few games, Nox is on par with the likes of GameLoop, LDplayer, and Meemu. Now I'm going to round this off with a free emulator called Phoenixos. Phoenixos seems to do very well with games, but what it lacks is security. So use this emulator only to play games and avoid logging into any accounts, such as Google or any others. You can download the emulator from its official website, and the install is rather straightforward with instructions from their website. And now for my top picks in each category. For gamers, it would be with Bluestacks, and this is because it's easy to set up, supports multiple accounts, and has the latest Android version. And next is Nox. Now Nox allows for multiple windows to be open at once, has very good support for controllers and keyboards, and it's very easy to root. And next we have the category of developers. The very first one there is Geniemotion, and that's because it has support for Android's Studio. It runs on Mac, Windows, or even Linux machines, and it allows developers to test their apps and games on Android 4.1 all the way to version 8. Next is Android Studio, and that's up there because it is the official one that's actually brought to us by Google, has very good support, and is frequently updated. And the last category that I have is for Chrome users, and that is the extension ARChon that allows you to run Android apps within your browser. Hey, if you like these types of videos, please give it a thumbs up, share the video, comment down below because I love to read your comments. Also, if you wanted to add something about emulators, you can add that down in the comments as well. Plus, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel to receive updates on videos like this. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.